I'm Sal Abenanti, and I'm here on Kickstarter to ask for your support to produce my 115-page color graphic novel, The Hostage. Hostage is set in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, based on the plight of the street children that live in the favelas. In the world of the graphic novel, being murdered daily, and the hostage is the evil spirit that is raised to avenge their death. Origins go all the way back to the indigenous tribes of the Amazon as the spirits that protect children, especially murdered children. The level of death that these kids have to endure every day. They have nowhere to sleep. They have no place to eat. They have to survive off of begging. There were nobody in capes that were coming to save these kids.
The Kraft Music Hall will not be presented, so we may bring you a Bob Hope comedy special.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. We got a mystery guest. Or no, she's voguing. I guess she's voguing. We're talking today about Shelly Bond's compendium that she has put together, saluting the great years of college radio of the 1980s. It's called Heavy Rotation, and I'm scrolling to find the damn picture. I guess I'm going to have to put it up while we're talking. But, Shell, good to see you.
You too. Thank you again for having me. I feel like I've been on like the heavy rotation circuit of the Word Balloon podcast.
Well, there's only a couple days left, and we want to let people know about it and get them involved. And we've got two contributors to the Heavy Rotation Compendium, two former DJ alums of Shell's. We've got returning champion Barbra Baker. Good to see you, Barbra.
Hey.
Woo!
Absolutely. And Glenn Raucher, everybody. Good to see you, Glenn.
Thank you. It's really good to be here, and it's good to be with my friends and have a little fun today.
So it was Ithaca College in New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And I went to Illinois State, and I was doing college radio at Illinois State. But I was also in high school radio. We had a 10-watt station, and that kind of got my feet wet in terms of like the college radio format and kind of learning a lot of stuff. And so. Glenn, were you a DJ? Were you ever a director, program director, music director, anything like that?
Yes to all of those questions. I think I was the first freshman approved my freshman year, and I was a DJ for my very first year, and then I became the alternate program director, which was jazz. That's all alternate meant. You didn't control anything else. The amount I knew about jazz could pretty much fit in a very, very small shot glass at that point. And then I became music director. And then for the last year and a half, I was program director. And at gunpoint, I couldn't quite tell you exactly what the job responsibilities were, because we had so many creative and smart and opinionated people that program director was basically just making sure there was someone to cover every shift, because everyone was really, really good and knew what they were talking about. So it was a pretty easy gig, and the thing I loved most was being on the air.
That's awesome. And yeah, I know now. And Barbra and Shell, I know, were DJs. Were you guys ever directors?
Nah, I didn't direct anything.
I just wanted to like take over the mixing board and just play the music that I wanted to hear and dance to.
No, I understand. I, and we talked about this before a couple different times. But yeah, I mean, it's I know that excitement of like curating a radio show and putting the music together. It was really, really cool, and it was like that perfect time of our lives where I think our taste and everything, we really got to kind of like, hey, this is what I'm all about, everyone.
Yeah.
in a slightly pretentious way, but hey, man, it was fun. They had the.
I wasn't slightly pretentious. I was very pretentious. And I think I've gotten more pretentious with age.
Oh, I agree. I applaud you for that. And I actually admit to being even more immature now than I think I was when I was in college. But I must say, John, would you agree that curating a comic book, especially an anthology, is not unlike putting together the most magnificent radio shift of your life? It's a balance of like popular tracks or popular artists and newcomers who need a break or who deserve to be in the company of other pretentious and powerful people. So the two really go hand in hand. So
I agree.
Thank you again for bringing us on. And this is going to be our final Word Balloon podcast for the run of Heavy Rotation. And it's going to be the ultimate showdown because it must be said, Glenn and Barbara were friends for many, many years in college. They're friends now, and this could ruin everything.
Not a chance. Not a chance. When not a chance. You find good people and you don't let dumb shit break it up.
I don't know. We're talking about music. Glenn, we're talking about music here. I mean, what if somebody came into your apartment and stole your Marillion albums? Misplaced Childhood. What if somebody took the one that's in the background and smashed it?
The autographed one?
Yeah.
If they got past the doorman, they made it up to the elevator, they found my apartment, and were so desperate to smash a Marillion record, I would probably just be like, I'm glad they didn't stab me in the neck.
Okay. Well, I'm actually going to be having to go. I have to go to my eye doctor because the reason I'm wearing glasses is because I'm pretentious, but I also have an eye infection. So if I have to leave halfway through the show, I'm going to the doctor, wink, wink, meaning I'm going to hitchhike to New York City. And I'm going to find one and that Marillion out, possibly, if Barbara wins.
All right.
Okay. And
All right.
You can be a refugee in Philadelphia.
There you go.
We'll put you up.
I don't have.
No, there's very, very few people whose musical knowledge and taste I respect more than Barbara's. So I kind of look at it as like Lakers, Celtics, 49ers, Cowboys.
What's he talking about?
I know, right?
Backgammon.
Exactly. Ali Frazier, Bobby Fischer, Boris
There you
Smith.
go. Navratilova, Graf.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
There.
Absolutely.
It's like whoever walks into the winner's circle have earned it.
Wait a minute. You have to understand, Glenn. The minute you mentioned sports, all of a sudden John put on his baseball hat and he smashed it. Is the Music and Sports Authority, and now you just already started out of the gate -1. Sorry, Glenn. -1 for Glenn.
Don't worry.
I don't see that. That's more like a pie.
That's
so
like
I have 3.14 already. Excellent.
Exactly. No. We now I have a couple multiple choice, but most of them are fill in the blank questions.
Great.
But I think you'll enjoy it. We'll go first one to 5 because
Sure.
I've only got so many questions, but I think that might work. And I will ask each of you individually a question, but the other person will have a chance to steal if they know.
And
So
what about
so if I guess wrong, Barbara gets to guess right.
Right. And also I will allow it. We talked about this, setting this up, as far as phoning a friend or going to the audience for an answer. I will give, given that we're only going to 5, I will give each of you one lifeline, but I do want the viewers to play along. And should you get the answer right, I will definitely post them up here as well. So feel free to play along.
I already saw our friend Dina pop in, so she's a font of knowledge.
Dina.
So,
Dina?
hey, there she is.
Yep. Very good.
And whoever said misplaced childhood is perfection. Yes, sir, you are correct.
Indeed, Gordy Adams. Good to see you, Gordy. Excellent. From Canada. Good
Great
man.
look too.
Absolutely. Yes, his hat. Very
Absolutely.
good. Look at that. Excellent. Stephen
my
Commander is
dad-
here as well.
My dad might try to join in, although he's a fountain of knowledge about big band music, and that's it.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry. I don't have any.
Big band questions.
I don't have any big band questions.
Dad, don't
Your dad and I can dig on Preservation Jazz Band.
I could pull out the Trivial Pursuit RPM version from the 80s, which does have big band questions in it.
Sure.
But
Next
that's all right.
time.
No. So, Heather is also here. Very nice to see you, Heather.
Yay!
Yay!
Heather.
Very cool. Nice. Look at this. All right, excellent. Well, I'm ready if you guys are. I will start, and Barbara, you get the first question.
All right.
Glenn gets a chance to steal. The Flying Lizards remade this 1959 hit, which was
Money.
also covered. Correct. Very good. You didn't even need the rest of it. Very good.
I'm dead.
Very good. We're on the board. It's all right. Glenn,
Yes, sir.
this Scottish band had a hit with the song Fields of Fire.
Big country.
Big Country is correct, and we have a tie game.
One for Glenn.
Nice going. All right. Now I have individual Peter Gabriel songs within 1 year, either before or after. I would like you to tell me the year of its release. Barbara, Salisbury Hill.
1980.
I'm sorry, incorrect. 1977. Oh, I'm sorry.
You got to give me a chance to steal.
I'm sorry about that.
John, what are you doing here?
I'm already breaking my own rules. That's what happens.
Peter Gabriel is so in my sweet spot, John.
Oh, my. Well, then let's see how you do on the song Biko.
Biko was on what was called Peter Gabriel, but it was Peter Gabriel 3, which came out in 1980.
That is correct.
Damn.
Two for
All right.
Glenn.
Yep. Barbara,
Mhm.
That's a negative.
Sledgehammer. What year was Sledgehammer? Wow, she does have more than one number. Very good.
1986.
Good enough. It was 1985, but very good. So it is a tie game. Excellent. Moving on. It is 2-2 in this best of 5 game. All of these songs all these songs reference the country China. I would like you to name the artist or the band.
And that's me, correct?
It is your turn, Glenn. Walking on the Chinese Wall.
Ooh. Don't know that one.
Barbara, chance to steal.
I don't know.
Phone a friend.
You could phone a friend. If somebody in the audience knows Walking on the Chinese Wall, a 1980s hit, a solo hit for a man that was also part of a very popular band from the 70s and 80s. That's all I'll say. Give you guys a second. I'll get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind, and Fire. It was the title track from his album that also had a duet with
Phil Collins hit on it.
The Easy Lover song.
Easy Lover, absolutely. Very good.
All right, well, I knew that.
All right.
We should have a point for that.
All right, next song, a little harder. 7 Chinese Brothers.
REM.
REM is correct, Barbara.
Barbara's in
Very
the
good.
lead.
Yes, indeed. We can make the rest toss-ups if we want. As opposed to whoever answers first can get the point. But I'll give you one more.
After I get my second round.
I will give you one more straight question, and that is the song Like China.
I can hear it.
Glenn is channeling some greater force.
Yeah, you know what? Get me Heather Goldberg.
Ooh.
Oh, Heather, do you know the name? Do you know who sang Like China? We will wait for your response. And anyone else in the peanut gallery watching right now can also respond.
Well, yeah, okay. So if it's not Heather, then I don't get the point. But
no. I think the audience, the audience can do it and everything. Oh, look, my buddy Dave Marin, another college radio alum, and really high school radio as well. New Trier High School, WNTA.
Hey, I know the answer.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
She just Googled.
Should I say it?
And Heather unfortunately doesn't know the answer. She's sorry. But yeah, Barbara, you can do it.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins is correct.
Whoa, Barbara.
How do I not get
Barbara.
Phil Collins?
I had a friend who had that album in high school.
Now, and Glenn, I will get. Well, actually, it's 4-2, so this is going to be tough. But we'll see what happens here. We'll make them toss up. Well, we're making them toss ups. So
Sure.
These hits featured the names of countries, cities, or people that were deemed enemies of the United States in the 1980s.
Ooh.
How pleasant.
Yes.
Indeed. So I will name the song, and you guys can name the artist. Berlin.
Lou Reed.
Lou Reed is correct. Again, we're at toss-up rounds now. It is now 3-4. Russians.
Sting.
Sting is correct. We have a tie game. Next answer is going to win it. Sandinistas.
Clash.
Good Clash.
I'm sorry, Glenn. Glenn beat you to it, man. So Glenn is correct.
Wait. Okay,
You
hold
said
on.
It does. It was Sandinista, correct?
Oh, excuse me.
Just checking.
No. Well, I'll take that, but that is what I was talking about. So regardless,
I just wanted to be sure and to be fair for the two contestants.
because I don't think anyone would have been able to release a song just called Sandinista, or another one with the S on it.
Right. Yeah, it would have been like, oh, you must have listened to the Clash. I was waiting for you to say, John, Living Through Another Cuba.
Very nice.
Yeah.
See, there you go. That's even very good. Very good. Wow.
But Barbara would have snapped that up before you got through Live.
Man.
Yeah.
What was it? No, I
got a knot in my stomach from all this.
Hey, that's why you need. Where's your
gin.
bourbon? Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Send John the bill. It's okay. He's going to
There you
cover
go.
all the expenses, including my eye doctor. So no worries, Glenn.
And it's funny, when you said Berlin, I don't know if Barbara, your brain did this too. The first thing I thought of, the band Berlin.
Yeah.
And then my brain had to go, no, not a band.
and I thought, and at first I was looking for maybe a Bowie album thing, but
and I was thinking, the whole thing.
Yeah, and I thought about using the band Berlin, but I'm like, nah, I do have two others that we can do in the next round. But before we get to the next round, I wanted to ask some weird things that I remember from college radio years with musically and everything. First of all, I'm sure you guys got them too. Wasn't it great every fall? The record companies would give out those cassette music samplers. Did you guys get that stuff? We got them all the time.
We got some. It's funny because maybe Barbara, you might remember this. I remember that us getting records from record companies for whatever reason was like pulling teeth. Like we had relationships with, even though we were a pretty powerful station in the area, it was not easy for us to get like significant. We had to work to get records. That's my recollection. I saw Tony's comment.
Oh, is that one of your guys?
It's the Clash. It's the Clash,
It's
right?
the
It's the Clash. Of course it is.
I told him about the whole thing with a
Clash.
certain someone at the radio station who said it's not the Bangles, it's Bangles.
And you
Do you remember that?
It's the Bangles.
It is the
Yeah, I call
Well, but
It is-
it.
It is Eurythmics, but it's
Yes.
the Bangles.
and it's Eagles, not the Eagles. Although people say the Eagles all the time,
Yeah,
and there was that
that's
great.
the football team. The
That's
Eagles.
true. Well, exactly.
I
Very
like
good,
their
Barbara.
music.
I knew that.
Well, also,
Silly girl.
they did a great on American Masters. They did this great documentary about the Troubadour on the West Coast,
Mhm.
and all the different people who played it. And Glenn Fry and Don Henley were originally part of Linda Ronstadt's band.
Yes.
And then they formed the Eagles. And it's great because they've got Steve Martin, who was playing his banjo and doing stand-up back then at the Troubadour. And it's like, we're breaking away from Linda. And it's like, oh, what's the name of your band? And they're like, Eagles. And he's like, oh, the Eagles. And no, Eagles. And he's like, yeah, the Eagles. And it's like, no, Eagles. Like Henley's telling him, he's like, okay, Eagles, fine. Like, it's like, okay, back off, take it easy. But yeah, that is, I never knew that. I always said the Eagles and stuff. But if you really look at the albums, it is Eagles' greatest hits, Eagles, Hotel California.
Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah.
So there you go.
All right.
All right, moving. I was going to ask you guys, along with the sampler disc, and I remember like that's the first time I heard 99 Luftballons played by
Nina.
Very good.
Nina.
Excellent.
Nina.
Excellent. Yes. Very good. Very good. And I prefer the German one. Exactly. So, and I also was going to I'll say that I'll do another question using other bands and weird names of songs and stuff, one hit wonders. But did you guys get ever from? And again, you're telling me that you didn't get great record service from the labels. You guys had CMJ, right? The College Music Journal.
Yeah, CMJ and Gavin.
Sure, the Gavin Report. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, and I think what was the company that ran the New Music Seminar?
Not
There was
true.
there was an associated publication. I can't remember what it was though.
Oh wow,
because Musical Express, was that it?
No,
Heather.
It was American.
Yeah, Heather would know.
Or actually, maybe I'm remembering that at New Music Seminar, Gavin and CMJ were represented. But I have
because I was going to say I thought CMJ might run one. In Chicago, we had one with our Loyola University. Pardon me, our Loyola University had a radio seminar that I started going to in high school, and then subsequently went to in college, and got our station into that. And I was really having the experience of my high school station. We subscribed to CMJ because we had Northwestern University in our shadow, and they were like our mentors, and they were great to us. Being college kids talking to high school kids. And it's like, this is what you need. This is what the labels want from you. They don't need you to play Bruce Springsteen. They need you to play the Swimming Pool Cues and, Truth and all these other, bands of that era and stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. So we learned that in high school, got good record service. And then also we had a great record store that would give us British imports all the time to play.
Yeah, the record stores, both here in New York. I mean, New York is, of course, the records, they were lousy with record stores back in the early 80s. But the fact that Ithaca had a couple of record stores that had good product. At first it was just Rebop, and I have some strong opinions about Rebop records, but there was a store that opened, I think in '85, called Chelsea Records. And it was owned by a guy who ran Desert Shore Records up in Syracuse, which was one of the first great independent record stores in the Finger Lakes. And Charlie Robbins wanted to open a store in Ithaca, came down and found a spot on, I think, College Avenue ran this way, and I'm trying to remember the road that ran up to College Avenue, but it was right next to the Greek Diner. And his specialty was European and UK imports, and having a record store that could introduce American kids to stuff we just didn't get here, hear here, was just amazing. I mean, it's you can get Bruce Springsteen, and no knock against Springsteen. I'm a Springsteen fan, but you can get him anywhere. You can get him in a non-record store. But to get the kind of stuff that I think we were all listening to, everything sort of had to fall into place. You think about people who live in places where there just wasn't any record stores at all, and they can't be criticized for not liking what we consider good music because it's just not accessible to you.
Agreed.
Dovetails right into how important college radio stations were for so many of these the alternative artists. I mean, Barbra could talk for days about Game Theory and other bands.
Oh, I'm wearing my Game Theory. I'm wearing the necklace that you got me.
Nice.
Lolita Nation. And I'm also wearing my Lolita Nation t-shirt.
Wow.
Like a total fangirl.
Outstanding. Very cool.
Just
very cool.
A little bit of an aside about heavy rotation. In addition to having about a dozen of former ICB DJs, write prose stories and essays and give us remembrances to put with single illustrations or to turn into comic book stories. I also wanted to make sure the anthology is balanced because that's curation, as we all know. So I invited a few other people from the other side to get a different point of view. So we have other college DJs who didn't go to Ithaca College in the 80s. We have someone who's going to be interviewing the Alarm, fingers crossed.
Wow.
We have the Cud Band. I have a couple of friends in the Cud Band. And one of them is Will Potter, who is a bassist and a comic book writer and a cartoonist as well. So he is actually going to share his tale of woe, because back in '89, when the Cud Band was told by their record company that they could go to the States and do a very quick but important college radio circuit, no one told them what that meant. So sometimes they didn't even show up at the station. Sometimes they just like fucked off and like went record shopping, or they were drunk. And I can't wait to see how he puts this in writing, because in some ways that broke their chance. Like that just destroyed their chance to break America. They were part of the group of bands that were called Lion Pop, that were the precursors to Britpop. And so, you know, he's got such a story to share. And while we're here, it must be said that we've extended the offer to have John write a short essay about his experience at the radio station, and it may or may not include a run-in with Brian Ferry.
Yeah, I almost thought to contrast some of the other stories, I would do like Living the Dream, because as I'm sure all of us know people, and we just had a whole big Zoom class reunion last summer of all my college radio buddies and stuff. And we literally had like 15 people on the call. And so many of them were, well, yeah, I tried pro radio for a couple of years and, that pays nothing. So then I got a real job and, and like it got down to me and I'm like, yeah, actually I stayed in radio for 30 years. I'm like, I managed to break into Chicago radio and really, as Shell likes to hear, I spent 10 years at both a sports station. She doesn't care about that part. But our sister station was WXRT, which is a really big rock station here in Chicago. It was the big alternative station. And as I've described before, it was like living in a Monkees episode, because, I mean, literally Elvis Costello and Boz Scaggs and Sean Colvin and God, now I'm blanking on.
It's like, hey kids, look who's here to die.
Exactly. That's exactly how I frame it.
It's Michael Stipe out of REM.
Exactly. Literally, yes. So, and like the two amazing moments were Robbie Robertson came when his and it was in the 90s, so it was after that solo album was Somewhere Down the Crazy River. But he was looking at the liner notes of the CD.
It was 87.
And boy, very good. And all of a sudden he's like, "You got a pen?" And the DJ's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And he starts writing in the jacket of the CD on this one song. And he goes, "Incorrect. Actually, the lead guitarist on this song was," and I don't remember, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "I should know. I was there, Robbie Roberts." So he wrote that in there.
Right. That's
so it's just great. And then, of course, Shelly knows the Saturday night. I'll do the condensed version. The Saturday night that I answered the door, I was producing on the sports side. And it was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And I opened the door, and it's Brian Ferry. And and it literally just, "Hello, is Terry there?" And meaning Terry Hemmert, our morning DJ that is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Great woman, tremendous lady. I worked with her for years after even working at XRT. And she's like running to the door. "I got this, John. I got this." I'm like, "Yeah, of course you do." Like, the 80s Cary Grant just walked in the door. "Of course you do. No problem." I'm like, I get it. But couldn't have been nicer. Fogerty came to the station, Tina Turner. It was like you said, it was like I said, it was like living in a Monkees episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it was crazy, but a lot of fun. So yeah, I figured like, again, that was just, and it was the first 10 years of my radio career. And honestly, I could say after 30 years, really the best, because I didn't know how good I had it. Because really, like, we were on the comp list for any stage we could pretty much get into any, concert and everything. It's, oh, you're from XRT. Hey, right, no problem. There you go. Nice. So yeah, saw a lot of great shows. Saw Paul Weller a million times. So
pardon? Did somebody say Paul Weller?
I knew. That's why I said it. Of course.
You knew I was on my phone. I was actually answering an email while you were talking, and then I heard Paul Weller.
Are you really like in a rush to go to the doctor? I don't want to mess you up.
I was totally joking.
Fine. Well, because you did injure your eye.
Listen, John is a man who cares. You can't throw that out there and not have him take it.
I have to say, I was answering Heather. She told me that my audio is really low. I don't think that matters because I don't want to take over the show again. I've done that every 10 times I've been on your show. So she said my audio is low. So I just wanted your tech guy to maybe take a look at that.
Yeah, Iggy, will you fix that for her, please? You got to get closer, I guess, to the microphone, buddy. Because
really,
but I will tell you for the audio, I do normalize and balance everything to sound as good as it can. So.
I guess I won't be singing tonight.
Oh, damn. Well, I was gonna another product that we would get for radio, and honestly, I was starting to tell you guys off the air, but I'm like, I'll save it for the air. We used to get these open interview records from the labels, where literally it would be like the artist answering questions, and they would send you the script.
Right.
Yep. And I mean, we got them for. I wish I'd hung on to these because I did end up like snagging them well after they were no longer, relevant. But I had one for No Jacket Required with Phil Collins, and I had one for Graceland with Paul Simon. Those are the ones that I remember. And I was just hunting around on eBay for any weird ones, and I found a Tom Jones one from 1970 that I bought that I cannot wait to get. And I'm gonna put them up. I'm gonna put them up as videos and stuff. Why not? Because they, but yeah, Tom Jones, a Pat Paulson one from 1968. Remember him from the Smothers Brothers?
Pat Paulson was the guy who ran for president many times. Exactly. I knew you'd come out of politics eventually.
So yeah, well, that's why I mentioned it. Also, a Sammy Davis one that I'm looking forward to. Hey, man, and. The R&B guy who was in The Impressions with Curtis Mayfield, Jerry Butler, was a big Chicago icon. He was the Iceman. So that's funny. Oh, now you just sent me something, Glenn. I don't know what you sent me.
Did I?
Or maybe these are from earlier.
Flowers?
Earlier.
Yeah, it probably was. It says Dietz and Ferry. I bet they're responses to Shelly.
Yep.
All right, there you go. Sorry, they were just popping up in my outlook. I'm like, what are you guys saying? All right, fair enough.
I'm right here. Just talk to me.
I thought they were virtual roses. I thought he was trying to cheat, and maybe he was trying to charm you into giving.
That is the second time you've implied that I
trying to like influence me.
There's some subliminal stuff happening here, and I'm not down with it.
No, listen, I think I'm actually just projecting my own klepto tendencies onto you.
Did you guys ever get like weird live albums that were radio only, and they were like a half-hour band performance of whatever? I wish I could remember specific bands.
Yeah, I remember like King Biscuit Flower Hour.
Sure. Yeah. Did you guys play that show?
We didn't, because usually it was not artists that WICB played.
Okay.
And most of there wasn't really a lot of what I would call sort of special off-record content from the bands that we played. We pretty much played their records.
Sure.
And there's so much. I mean, when we were all doing our heavy rotation playlists this week, it was hell. It was hell trying to narrow down artists to play, and I think it was it Heather who came up with the ones we none of us included.
Yeah.
And some of them were like, how could you not include
Depeche Mode,
right? Midnight Oil. I know you don't like Midnight Oil, but like major artists from that time who had records that we played that they are.
Is Kaja Gugu making a comeback?
They're making a comeback, but only as a trivia question in the next part of the show.
Yeah.
I can add
and
that
that's
to
it. And then they're done
list.
in 2038.
I am adding a song.
I remember seeing them on Bands Reunited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, that was 90s, absolutely,
I mean,
or
yeah,
early 2000s. Yeah,
it's funny, you know. I think we were talking about earlier on. We were talking about pretension and being opinionated about your music. It's like when we were at the radio station, like discussions about music felt like life or death, and you know, where you would be like appalled if somebody liked/didn't like something that mattered to you, whether to despise or to delight. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think one thing that as I've gotten older, I definitely have loosened up on that, because I realize that, you know, people like what they like, and I'm not going to judge people up to a point. You know, I mean,
the qualifier.
Yeah, the qualifier is if someone likes, you know, white power metal, I'm kind of like, no, I'm not really very good. And I'm going to go now, you know. So, I kind of feel like, hey man, if you like nothing but like top 40 pop, if that gets you off, cool, like it. It's not preventing me from listening to anything that I like. So, you know, go with God.
Well, Barbra aged. I wanted to say that for the tape. You said you might have aged and you've mellowed with age, but Barbra hasn't aged at all.
At all. Not a minute.
No.
The real Barbra is in the basement. Yeah.
Dorian Baker.
Are you a clone? Exactly. Yeah. What the hell, man? That's good.
Yeah. I'm vinyl, made out of vinyl from used records. Yeah.
All right.
I have good.
What's that?
I didn't think she could get any cooler, but there you go.
Very nice. Excellent.
Ecologically conscious too.
A couple of comments from the people. Steve Commander wants to know, did we ever air the Westwood 1 radio shows? I did at XRT, and it's funny you mentioned the King Biscuit Flower Hour. Our station XRT had that show. We also had one. We had the Westwood 1 concert show. We customized it and made it our I forget what it was called. It was on Saturday nights, because we would mix in live XRT shows that we had sound engineers record for us. And I mean, my God, and to the point where XRT has for the last 20 years been releasing live from the archive CDs to raise charity money. And oh my God, yeah, literally like a Bob Marley 81 performance. I remember we were digitizing and transferring stuff from reel to reel to digital. And I forget what concert it was, but somebody like had spilled like soda on it on the reel to reel, and we had to preserve it. And I mean, no one had touched it for the longest time, so we tried to digitize it. And as we were playing the tape, songs would flake off. Yeah, pieces of the tape would flake off. Yeah. So yeah, I don't even know how well they were able to, like, what they could get from that tape, but they tried. So yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Back when I was at ICB, it's too long a story for this show, but I wound up working with Frank Zappa on the PMRC thing, and I did petitions, and we got signatures to send to Congress, and as part of that, I asked him if I could interview him. And so one night during my shift, I hooked up the longest wire ever to the reel-to-reel and went into the hallway, because it was like a 10 to 2 shift, because he was in California. And so the only time he could talk was like 8 o'clock his time. So I think I switched a shift with someone, and or someone else was on the air and I was out in the hallway, whatever the case might be. And he said he could give me 10 minutes. And I spoke to him for probably close to an hour and a half, because once Frank started, he didn't stop.
That's awesome.
And that reel-to-reel was up in my parents' attic, and I never transferred it.
Oh,
and that's just, I remember that conversation. It's one of the big regrets in my life that I was too stupid to say to Mike Sauter, here, preserved this for me, and
Wow.
it's gone.
Oh,
On the sports side, I used to have and I still have it, a micro cassette recorder that I would take with me in the field and get like interviews and stuff. And I covered boxing from 1989 to 2006
Oh, wow.
for the sports station that I worked at and a couple cable TV things locally here and there. And in 91, I went to a fight and I got to interview Muhammad Ali for 5 minutes.
wow.
And he was great. And this was during his Parkinson's syndrome, where he would stammer, but his mind was never like bad. His mind was still sharp. It was just his body didn't work.
Right.
So, I mean, like how poor Katharine Hepburn got as she got older and stuff,
Right.
basically, but even worse. And it was great. It was right before when Evander Holyfield fought George Foreman, and he gave really good points and stuff. And to the life of me, now 30 years later, cannot find that micro cassette. And it drives me crazy. And the only reason why I still have is a micro recorder is hopes that I will dig it up at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying on the previous show, and you guys should say too, any other great music interviews that you had a chance to do back in the 80s or whatever. I got to talk to Smokey Robinson and Lou Reed actually at Farm Aid, which was really amazing talking to Lou Reed. And Smokey was cool too. And I also talked to Russell Hitchcock from Air Supply.
Oh, wow.
Because I worked at one of the professional stations in town, and we were an adult contemporary station, and we were a reporting station to Radio and Records, R&R. And we would, and I know I told this story before, we had a real cracker program director who thought we were playing Man in the Mirror too much. And I'm like, you realize this is this year's We Are the World in terms of being a message song. And he's like, I don't like it. It rocks out at the end. I'm like, yeah, sure it does.
Real hard.
Sure it does. So I didn't play it. And the guys from Epic Records are like, we really need you to play this in heavy rotation. We will not, it can't be a number one song. You guys, you don't just play in your heavy rotation. I'm like, you don't understand. I'll get fired if I play it.
Whoa.
So that's what kept Man in the Mirror from being number one on R&R. I mean, Billboard was no problem. But they just wanted it across the board that it was a number one hit, R&B and easy listening and mainstream. And yeah, we were among. I'm sure we weren't the only station.
Barbara, you got to do a couple of good honor interviews. I seem to recollect, didn't you?
That wasn't me. I don't think I interviewed anybody.
I know for a fact that Nat interviewed the Drongos, and he actually wrote a fantastic essay about it that's going to be in, believe it or not, heavy rotation.
Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful.
So that was cool. And Dina, who is listening, also interviewed Natalie Merchant.
Oh, that's great. That's cool.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, you guys remember Doug Desher, right?
Sure.
So Doug and I, this talk about a night to remember, and John, this folds in some sports. So you can tune out for 2 seconds when we get to it. It was October 25th, 1986, and Suzanne Vega was playing Bailey Hall at Cornell.
Cool.
And through Columbia, Doug and I got the okay to talk to her for 10 minutes backstage. And people mistook Suzanne Vega for kind of being like a waif and like a fragile singer-songwriter.
Sure.
And it was as self-described, a tough fucking Puerto Rican kid from New York.
That's awesome.
and like she was much tougher than she came across, at least on her initial record. Certainly
Sure, Luca and all that, Solitude Standing, sure.
Doug and I went backstage, and her manager, who was a bit of an ass, was like, "You got 10 minutes." I'm like, "All right." So Doug and I set up, and at like 9, and like instantly, I still have the cassette, thank goodness. He and I and she were just talking. It was a really good conversation about the new record and touring and a show I'd seen her in New York. And about 9 minutes and 59 seconds in, the manager comes in through the door and says, "All right, times." And before he could say anything, she turned to him and went, "We're talking."
That's awesome.
And I will love her forever.
Absolutely.
For that. So she played that night and saw the show with my then girlfriend. And then afterwards, we went to the Ithaca International Airport restaurant.
Oh man, I love that place.
And we got there about, you got to get buffalo wings. And we got there probably around 10:30 in time to see the last 5 innings of Game 6 of the 1986 World Series, the Buckner game.
Absolutely. Mets and Red Sox.
That was
Absolutely.
a hell of a night.
Well,
And that's it for
Barbara,
sports.
Barbara, right?
So
That's baseball history. Absolutely, man. Yeah.
That was a hell of
Better
a
than
day.
that, the Ithaca International Airport restaurant, one of Shelly and I, our roommates, worked there our senior year, and we had a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
But that was back in the days that you would drink a lot of stuff that came out of a blender with a lot of chocolate and sugar. And
I was going to say, were you like working at the Orange Julius or Cinnabon? Where the hell were you guys working?
Yeah, it was like putting a Cinnabon in a blender with some rum and vodka, and it was the greatest thing.
Well, at least so did they sell booze, or like you guys had your own booze and you'd slip it in or whatever?
Oh no, they had all those frozen drinks.
Sure,
that were like all this, like the way Chi-Chi's had those really fruity, weird things with. They were daiquiris and pina coladas, and it was like that, but even more exotic.
Very cool.
It was like mudslides. And
my college girlfriend, I had a lot of respect for her because she was getting her teaching degree and was able to like sign and teach deaf kids. And it just, my heart, I mean, she'd come back with like the saddest stories of these poor kids that had trouble connecting with their families and stuff. Because this is Central Illinois, a lot of farm country, and some of them just didn't know how to handle it. It would break my heart. But then she worked at one of the malls, and she worked at it was like roasted nuts and like peanut brittle and stuff. And she would come back from her shift reeking of peanut brittle, and it would just crack me up.
Oh,
and it's like I never tired of it, but it would just crack. And she's like, Barrett's just like, sorry. I'm like, that's okay, it's funny. I'm like, I don't care. It's just funny. So, poor thing. I worked at Dairy Queen and worked on the grill, and it's the most weight I ever lost outside of Weight Watchers because you reeked of fried meat, hamburgers and stuff, and you wouldn't want to eat any meat after that because you did. I was Lady Macbeth. I couldn't scrub enough to like get the stench out.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Not
I just worked on. I worked on something about animal health recently, and it was, getting into farming animals that we eat for dinner. And I won't eat anything now unless it's processed and comes out of a bag. I don't want to eat any animals at all.
I understand.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, thank God all the fake meat is getting better.
I love the fake meat. Yeah, fake meat and Doritos. Yeah.
Speaking of fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
The faker, the better.
Absolutely. So should we move on to our challenge round, or what do you want to do? Because I've got more questions.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right, good deal. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the vibe that was going on when we were all in college radio. So no, that was all good.
So what are we doing now, John? Who's in this? What's happening? Where am I?
Do we want to? Well, it's you against Shell, but I'm happy again to open it up to all three of you. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have BB back in the game. She does.
All right, and again, there'll be jump ball questions. Whoever answers first will get the point. So I am doing a little thing here, and once again, I'll go till I'm out of questions. How about that?
Goo.
Here, the first category is movie themes, and I will expect an absolutely correct answer to the first question. Never Ending Story. Who sang Never Ending Story?
Lamal.
Lamal is correct. Barbara is on the board. Speaking of Kaja Gugu. All right, I've got more, and I will name the film, and you can either tell me the name of the hit song that played at the start or finish of the film, and we'll go from there. Give my regard. Go ahead. Do you want to say something? No. Give my regards to Broad Street. Can you name the song that was a hit from that movie?
Paul McCartney, and it was
No More Lonely Nights.
No Lonely Nights.
Yeah, but Barbara beat you to it, man. So Barbara's got a commanding lead right now. But yes, very good. Indeed.
Wow.
I know. All right, this is a tough one. Ruthless People. I will take either the artist or the song in this case.
I know this one.
Well, then answer.
I know. I can't. Oh, it's right here. I can't reach it. It's some kind of like neutron dance song.
That's hilarious, and I should have included Neutron Dance in this group, but I did not. Can you name the movie that Neutron Dance is from?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Barbra, correct. Man, Barbra, you're killing right now. Nice
right?
going.
Barbra.
But back to Modern Woman. I will, or that shame on me. I just gave the name of the song.
I'm going to say Modern Woman.
Yes, exactly. Do you know who sang? Do you guys remember who sang Modern Woman from Ruthless People?
I didn't even know.
It was a hit, but it's a totally.
Gugu.
It was not Kajagoogoo. It was a forgettable.
Lamal.
It was not Lamal. No. Billy Joel.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh,
sure. And I the film was Ruthless People. The song was Modern Woman. Who sang it?
Right. There's Billy Joel, but
Billy Joel. That's correct.
But no, I don't get any points back because you said it.
I didn't. I said Modern Woman.
Despite what Shelly says, I don't cheat.
No, I didn't think I said Billy Joel. I said the name of the song, but I don't think I said the name of the artist.
If I knew Billy Joel was going to be mentioned, I would have had an eye infection today.
I understand. No, I know. I don't want to deny. All right, Glenn, if you don't want to take the point, I'll respect that.
I'm pretty sure I thought you said Billy Joel. I will not take the point.
Okay, fair enough.
Death before honor, or honor before death.
I've been punched in the head too many times, so I could easily forget.
I think it was Death Story by
Clash. London Calling.
London Calling.
From
Paul Simonon.
From 16 Candles.
The Nice Price.
Pretty in Pink.
No, that would be from Pretty in Pink, of course. But no, if you could name either the title of the song or the band, and it's that the end credits when Molly Ringwald and the guy
Thompson Twins.
Thompson Twins is great. Barbara, you are killing. The song was
the caffeine in the vinyl.
The song?
If you were here, I would deceive you.
You even naming that hook. You did the title. If you were here, very good. Very good. All right, boy. All right, let's see who's fast because this is an easy one. Breakfast Club.
Don't you forget about me by the Simple Mind. By Simple Minds, not the Simple Minds.
Simple Minds.
Simple Minds.
Glenn, I'm still giving you a point on that one because you guys were basically at the same time.
Wait a second. I think that was one for Shelly because it was Simple Minds, which I already actually suggested around the time that Glenn said Kajagoogoo for the third time. So that's one for Shelly, right?
I'm just going to name a bunch of bands, and if you answer them, points.
All right, I got it. All right, this is a tough one. Squeeze had a medley of their hits as a parody of an early 80s song, which was a disco medley of Beatles songs. Can you either name that hit or the Squeeze parody title?
Damn.
They're both similar.
I
think you guys remember that Beatles medley of Beatle hits that were set to a disco beat?
Disco beat.
And they were covers. They sounded like the Beatles, but they were not the Beatles.
Let's phone a friend. Let's see if Dina Burns has any idea what you're talking about.
Oh, my friend Sandy's watching. She'd be all over this right now. Sandy's another 80s and 90s college radio person.
Let Sandy answer because we don't
know.
Sandy, do it.
Help us, Sandy.
Hit us, Sandy.
If you got it, Sandy, do it. I hope you're watching still on Periscope. Sometimes Periscope, they watch for a few seconds and they go away. But it's good. It's still good. It still counts.
10 seconds.
Everything counts in large amounts. By the Depeche Mode. I put the article on there just to get one.
Dina is passing on this one.
Giggle.
It's the Depeche Mode.
No,
the
the song and the band, the original Beatles medley. The title of the song was also the title of the band. Stars on 45.
Oh, yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
Was that listen, you want to hear a secret, like that whole?
Yes, exactly. Yes, and then Squeeze did a parody of it and did all of Squeeze's songs to a disco beat, and it was called Squabs on 40 Fab.
So it wasn't
Never would have gotten that.
by Depeche Mode or Depeche Mod.
The Depeche Mode.
The Depeche Mode.
A Depeche Mod.
But it was it the Style
Depeche.
Council or was it just Style Council?
Style
It was
Council.
TSC.
Yeah, it was TSC. That's right. Of course it was.
The Depeche-
All right.
The
I
Depeche
made
Modi.
myself a jacket. Okay, I have a TSC logo jacket.
Nice.
Back in the day.
Okay, here's a couple kind of one-hit wonder bands. I will name the song, see if you can name the band. When Love Breaks Down.
Prefab Sprout?
Prefab Sprout is correct. Barbara, you are killing it on this.
That's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah, Appetite is beautiful.
Yeah, the
Steve-
whole
Steve
album.
McQueen record is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
True. Yeah, you're right about that.
I reject the definition of them as a one-hit wonder.
All right, I respect that. But
That is sublime.
all right, but they are kind of like random. They're like random bands that
yeah.
certainly.
It's one of those bands that it's perfect pop music, and in a more open-minded time, they would have been huge.
Yeah.
But
Completely agree.
they were a
completely
little
agree.
bit smart and a little bit too British for American
Mhm.
ears.
How about digging your scene?
Blow Monkeys.
You are insane, Barbara. That's fantastic. She's a machine.
BB.
Wow.
It's Barbara's world. The rest of us just live in it. Barbara's
I just
world.
got your message, baby. I love that song. All right. Well, here's an easy one, but it'll be interesting to see who's fast. Life in a Northern Town.
Hey, no.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not Icicle Works.
No.
Oh, I can picture the Dream. Not
Dream
Syndicate,
Academy.
Dream Academy.
Dream
Yeah.
Academy.
Yep. You each get a half point for that. Very
Yeah.
good. Barbara's
Half
walking
a
away
mile.
with it.
Article. 7 for Barbara.
Very nice. Here's one. The Pet Shop Boys did a duet, or the band with the '60s Siren. Was it Petula Clark, Lulu, or Dusty Springfield?
Dusty Springfield.
Dusty.
It was Dusty. I have a great dirty story about Petula Clark, but I won't share it.
Downtown.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Wow.
Very good, Barbara. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, very good.
Well, hello, Petula.
She's got 8.
Who
Just
does?
for that. Barbara.
I
Oh.
said Dusty.
Just for that clever bun mutt she threw in. There.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and Heather got Dream Academy. Very good.
She
Very,
forgot
very
the
good.
other.
And she says, well done, Barbara. Absolutely.
High five.
Nice
Although
going.
that's 10.
You're killing me, man. This is good. All right. What albums did these Joe Jackson songs come from?
Oh.
Is she really going out with him?
I'm a man.
Look sharp.
Sharp.
I Look Sharp is correct. Or no, it wasn't. It was, wait a minute. I got to look that up. Hold on a
Look
second.
sharp. It's the first record. Third.
Yeah.
I was forced to go to the Heart and Soul tour, the Joe Jackson tour, Philadelphia. My only friend in high school who liked music almost as much as me. He doesn't talk to me anymore. But he was the only other person who I could count on to like dig new music. It was the two of us against the suburban high school from hell.
Ooh.
So Mike Boyer, if you're out there, I don't know why you don't talk to me anymore. I did not steal your records. I thought you and you were a cool person. I don't know what happened, but I went to see Joe Jackson for him. And the two of us also, our first concert was the Cars at the Spectrum.
Awesome.
Damn.
That was like 11th row from the stage. Talk about a great first show. We waited for tickets outside of the Ticketron at the Berkshire Mall. We waited from 3 a.m. until noon. And we were like the 4th in line. And that was such a great experience. See, kids today, like they don't have those experiences, right? Oh, there was nothing like it.
And they should get off your lawn too.
Yeah, get off the lawn.
What was everybody's first concert?
Who?
Come on.
Donny Osmond? Was that Donny Osmond?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel? That's all right.
No.
Come on.
Mine was.
And then
Wait till you hear mine.
Mine was Rush Moving Pictures Tour, 1980.
Nice.
Well,
Mine.
that surprises absolutely no one.
No, they shouldn't surprise anybody. No.
Yeah.
I had an older stepbrother, and he was like 7 years older than me. And it was when he was a teenager. So I was like only like 11 or 12. And his date backed out on him. And he's like, come on, I don't want to eat the ticket. And I'm like, all right, fine. And it was Jethro Tull in 1978.
Yeah.
And it was the Stormwatch tour. And then later that year, he had an extra ticket. And he worked at a music distributor called Sound Unlimited that would service all the record stores and stuff. It was great. Great gig.
Stormwatch is a good record.
Yeah. No, it was cool. And then that same year, I saw Styx for Cornerstone. That album. So those were my first two concerts. I didn't get cool concerts until college. College concerts, saw UB40, saw Psychedelic Furs.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
B-52s.
The Alarm played on
nice.
campus. 10,000 Maniacs played on campus.
We had
The Lone Riders played on campus.
Nice. We had 10,000 Maniacs and Tracy Chapman together.
Wow.
And I got to meet them backstage. That was a good backstage meet. And then also Carole King was campaigning for Gary Hart in 1984.
Boy.
Hilarious.
and she did like a really short, like she spoke, but she also played several songs. It was so cool meeting Carole King. She was amazing. And so nice to us. She was so really nice to, like, unlike Paul Young, Every Time You Go Away, and Love of the Common People. I told that story. I don't know if I told that with you on the call, Barbara. I think I said it to Shelly and Phil with Mike and the Mechanics, and we screwed up because Paul Young is part of Mike and the Mechanics, Mike Rutherford's band that also had Paul Carrick and Living Years and Silent Running and all those songs. And so Paul Young was there as doing his solo tour and had his crazy feathered hair that, like,
he had some awesome hair for that time.
Absolutely. 100%. A lot of moose in that hair.
Lots of moose. Yeah.
Absolutely. But he was offended that because the album cover for Mike and the Mechanics didn't have regular photos. Everybody's face was digitized. And it was very kind of, you really couldn't make out, unless, you knew kind of what Mike Rutherford looked like because of Genesis, but still, and Paul Carrick because of Squeeze. But yeah, he was very offended. No, sorry, wrong guy.
Oh.
And then we're like, okay, sorry. But yeah, he was pissed. We're like, yeah, get over it, You're talking to the common people that you supposedly love. What the hell?
Yeah.
There was a great concert. I think it might have been in '86. It was at Darien Lake, and it was Gene Loves Jezebel, Echo and the Bunnymen, and it was
Great.
Love and
New Order.
Love and Rockets, cool.
Yes.
Wow.
And New Order.
Great shows.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that was a great one. I also
It was
remember
87.
the Purple Rain tour.
Nice.
Some of my roommates who were not involved in the radio station, who didn't really like the kind of music I liked, they had an extra ticket to see Prince, and so I just jumped in the car with them and went, and it was a great show. I wasn't a fan at the time, but wow! And one of my one of the girls in the dorm actually got on the Purple Rain video in the audience.
Wow.
She was like 5'10". And at that time, I might have been 5'2". I don't think I wore flats.
Do you guys know?
Show.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish the story, Shell. I apologize.
No, I'm sure I was in the video too, but you couldn't see me because I was 5'2".
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately.
But no, fortunately, actually.
Well, just for the video's purposes.
Yes.
Heidi, right?
No, you're a tough woman. Absolutely. I was going to say, oh God, what was my story? Shit.
We're all in our 50s, aren't we?
Do you guys know this show that's been on Cinemax the last couple of years that the Beavis and Butthead creator made? It's called Tales from the Tour Bus. It's Mike Judge. Yeah.
No.
It's amazing. The first season is all country music, but even with country music, it's just like crazy rock and roll level destruction and boozing and crazy moments with fan stories. So that's first season's all country bands. Second season is R&B and hip hop, and they have Bootsy Collins does an amazing show of all of his memories and being with Funkadelic and everybody, and just I was with James Brown and I was completely out of my mind, on drugs during this show. and just crazy stories. Great stories about James Brown over the years. But the two great ones are Prince and Rick James kind of had a war, and that was really funny to hear about. And then also they have Morris Day and the Time. And all their stories. And they went from being Prince's proteges to Prince getting really jealous after Jungle Love and like their 5 seconds of like big fame.
Yeah.
And it's Morris Day telling the stories. And it's incredible. Oh my God, just some of the crazy stories. So it was on Cinemax. If you have Cinemax and you have Cinemax on demand, they're in their archive. Tales from the Tour Bus, so goddamn funny. Really, like
I have to shift gears for a second. I want to ask Glenn to talk a little bit about his contribution so far to heavy rotation, because he did such an incredible piece that I'm going to title "A Day in the Life of a DJ" because Glenn still owes me a title.
I had to come up with a title too. I feel like giving you a title like the Cowboy Junkies first record. They have a song like Sunday Morning. What, Barbara? You're the trivia champion. Cowboy Junkies first record, Sunday Morning. Come on, John, help me out here.
I'm trying to think too. I don't remember it, but
I feel like the title should be like Tuesday Morning, 5 a.m. or something like that.
I'll look it up while we're talking.
Yeah.
So the story is basically, I used to live. I got off campus as soon as I possibly could, and it had many advantages for being, a 19, 20-year-old student, but kind of transferring from being a kid to being an adult. Having to live on your own and pay rent and just grow up really quick, as opposed to living in a dorm room with an RA or what have you. Mm-hmm. The one disadvantage for a DJ is that I lived off campus. So if I had, as I did for a good portion of my sophomore, junior, and senior year, a 6 a.m. morning drive show, I had to get up at Jesus Christ o'clock and get to the station, because if you're a DJ, any DJ worth her salt knows, you are on time. If you are late for your shift, or you are late enough to create an issue for someone who's been kicking it for 4 hours, you're the asshole. Mm-hmm. And I've always been.
You're worse than an asshole.
Yeah, it's especially the overnight shift. You back someone up on the overnight shift, like you get the socks in the pillowcase when you go to sleep. That's what you should get. Ooh. So I lived out by Cornell, and it was a pretty far ways.
Wow.
And I had a morning routine. I would set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning, and shower and get dressed, and I would go down Route 13 and go to a Dunkin' Donuts and grab exactly 2 donuts and a 32-ounce coffee, about the size of a water tank on the outskirts of a small southern town. And I'd strap that to the roof and drive up to campus and get up there early and the story that I wrote is sort of like the steps, the stations of the DJ shift cross. Getting in, catching the vibe, checking in with all the legal stuff you had to do, which is like that's like the grain. That's like the stuff that it's inside baseball, if you will. That's the stuff that only we know about if you've been on the air. Mm-hmm. And then your first song, and then just interacting with the people as they came through, and how it absolutely was, for us who were on radio, sui generis compared to anyone else going to school, who were also getting up for their 8 o'clock classes. But here we were doing this very particular thing that required a very particular kind of knowledge and approach and attitude. And so the story is really about getting through that first shift from beginning to end, and then returning to sort of the normal world. From this kind of dream state that we were allowed to be in for 4 hours a day, a couple times a week. And I was really glad that Shelly asked me to do something, because I had a lot of fun writing it, and I'm grateful that it's going to be in the book, or some of it will be.
That's awesome.
And can I actually just plug the artist who actually read your piece and agreed to illustrate the mixing board, which that artist is? Anybody? I'm gonna throw that out as a trivia question to the three of you. Who do you think the artist is? Who
Philip
swooped
Bond.
in?
I was going to say Philip Bond.
Who is
Is that
the
right?
genius of drawing spaceships and technical things? He said he would happily draw it.
That's wonderful.
The make and model of the actual board.
The actual one.
Right?
And
Yeah.
and we
guess what?
we got that shit.
They did.
Did you guys, did your mixers, did they have slides or did they have potentiometers, pots?
Well,
was-
right. There we go. The pots. There you go, Glenn. Answer the question.
I think at the very, very, very start of our time there, mine and Barbara's time, there were pots. And then very, very quickly there was a new board that came in.
Mhm.
That was slides.
Yeah.
But,
we had
you talk about completely elemental and basic. I mean, it really is like looking at a Model T compared to
Yeah.
It's,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Our high school radio station, we had a lot of people whose parents worked at WGN television and radio. So a lot of our equipment was old WGN equipment. And among the things we had was our mixer was absolutely an old pot one. And for people who don't know and watching the video, you would like fine tune a pot like a safecracker and literally be like, yeah, there it is. And you following the VU meter and making sure that it's right and not bleeding into the red and everything. But also we had our turntables were from either the 40s or the 50s because they were gigantic, bigger than 12 inches for an album, transcription size turntables. And I'm sure they were used in the golden age of radio when syndicated shows would come via transcription discs. And I actually found at a thrift shop a couple World War II transcription radio shows. And the only place I could play them was at the radio station. We were all freaking out about how cool it was.
If you spin a regular record backwards on one of those turntables, you can hear Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Exactly. Absolutely, man. No, that's great. And believe me, Shell was talking about like having to go to her shift, at 2 a.m. and crossing the quad in like 0-degree weather and everything.
See, I absolutely loved the overnight. It must be said, writing that story was a blast because I always looked at the overnight as that point in time where you are mission control of a spaceship. It was, to me, being there, it was cold as hell outside. Cold AF outside. And you would go inside the station. You'd get there early, around 12:30-ish, 1:45 to pick out your albums. But it was you against the world, playing the music, knowing that there might be 4 people listening. And often you would get somebody calling you on the listener line who it was a big deal. Like if there was someone you liked and you'd say, hey, I'm on the overnight tonight, call me and make a report. So it was always curious, like who would call me and like, would I play their song or not? And it would really depend on whether I thought they were really into me or if I thought they were really just into the music. So I was that kind of agent. I didn't often play the music and that people wanted, but to me, there was nothing like the power and control and corruption of what you could do on that overnight shift and the satisfaction of walking out while the sun would come up at 6:45 in the morning, and that sense of accomplishment and having that air check tape like bouncing in your bag. I couldn't wait to get back to the dorm. Barbara will recall because she would be fast asleep and I would come bursting in and I would put the tape in because I'd want to listen to it. I would never make it to the end of the first side. I'd be sound asleep before the end. But there was nothing like it in the entire world. It was like being alone with Joe Strummer, Robert Smith, Paul Weller on my shift, dancing with Susie from, Susie Sue and Morrissey, and just having the time of my life. So I did graduate from 2 to 6 to 10 to 2. And then I eventually had the Friday night 7 to 10, which was the party shift. But
Yeah.
best memories were the times I was on the overnight, and especially when my dad came on Parents' Weekend. He came to the 2 to 6 and sat there with me and
Oh, that's great.
listener line, and that's one of the highlights of my life. Knowing my dad was so cool, and like, you know, he paid for my education. And I'd like to just say thanks again, Dad, because he always says I cost him twice as much as my sister, which is true. But every penny that went into that 40 grand plus private college, he got his money's worth.
Wow, man,
That's a great story, Shelly.
I think my college was like $8 grand a year, so it was like and actually I went a fifth year because I got a job at the radio at the Easy Listening station where Man in the Mirror rocked out. I got that my senior year, so I eased off on my schedule so that I could work the full-time job. So
nice.
Yeah. Too much. Very funny. So yeah, I was trying to think of how much my college costs because God, my heart goes out to parents and the cost of college today, and it's really they got to do something about that. They really do.
It's
and
insane.
I listen. Hey, I get it, and I think institutions deserve the money that they need to operate. And I think going away to college, as Glenn was describing too, is such an important life growing experience that we all understand. But it's tough. It really is tough, and I can appreciate, and I'm glad that community colleges it's weird. They're the ones that attendance is gaining because of the economic state and everything. And I have friends that teach at community college, and it's very interesting to hear those kinds of reports. So, bummer. I'm telling you. Let's see. Oh,
hey, I have a daughter in.
Is that nice, Tony Romano?
You don't need to worry, Barbara. I have to say, Tony earlier, I don't know if Barbara noticed, but Tony gets like top scores from me because he did say I was giving off some Debbie Harry vibes. So I just want to salute him for that with an ode to the classic Debbie Harry shot, saluting with the one with the Popeye shirt. I think it was the PC Seeger Popeye shirt. So Tony, you're amazing. And I'm going to consider you the winner of this competition.
I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair.
It's Debbie Harry 30 or 40 years ago, 81 today, she guest starred on The Muppet Show.
Oh, that's amazing.
I saw that on Twitter today. They had screen caps of her on with the Muppets.
Yeah, that was one of the best celebrity appearances on The Muppet Show. And it's got to be said, I don't know about you guys, but when Blondie introduced Raucher, like that was a huge turning point for music for me. And Barbara, I'm going to toss this one to you. City Rhythms was a specialty show that we had, and wow, talk about innovators. The station, our station was called the Station for Innovation, and of course we loved all the MTV inspired new music. And I for one only really listen to British bands and still probably listen to 98% British bands, but the Station for Innovation has to get credit for the specialty shows, including City Rhythms.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Barbara,
please,
you said something so great about City Rhythms recently, about how you were like, where was I on a Saturday?
So City Rhythms was...
I think we slept until 2 p.m. on Saturdays, Barbara. We were out at night dancing on the Friday night.
We were, and I was probably really busy moping on Saturday afternoon, but like that was such a great group of guys who did it. And one of them, Ray DeJesus, submitted 2 playlists for, the stuff that we've done. And I was like, damn, this is such these playlists are amazing. And it's what I listen. It's a lot of what I listen to now.
And they're actually doing an interview in the book, and I have to give Heather Goldberg props. She reached out to Goins and Daryl and Ray, and they're actually interviewing each other. And Sanford Green, for comic book fans out there, I mean, anyone knows Sanford Green. I've said this before. I'm sure he's going to be blushing. I'm going to say it again, but Sanford just picked up the Best Artist Ringo Award this summer, and Bitterroot picked up the Eisner for Best Continuing Series. I'm the editor on the book, and I'm bragging about them because they're an incredible team. But Sanford is one of the most amazing artists working today, not just in comics. He is a visionary, and he has agreed to do the spot illustration because when he was in 9th grade, he wanted to be a DJ because of the bands that were played on a show like City Rhythms. So it's incredible to get him to contribute. So all the comics people listening, I'm certain that they're Sanford Green fans. So we are so lucky to get, Sanford to contribute to this, and so also so lucky to get the City Rhythms crew back together for a short interview in heavy rotation.
That's great. That's
outstanding. No, Sanford's a regular guest here a lot over the years, and certainly have been talking about Bitterroot, but when he and David were doing Power Man and Iron Fist and lots of other Sanford stuff. No, he's great. And mentioning urban shows, we did rock Monday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday and Sunday were given over to the urban format. And we were, and again, I was a freshman in '83, and I went to school there until '88. And it was like when Rapper's Delight and those songs were coming out, it was really exciting to hear that stuff. And we had tremendous respect for the urban guys and women, because they were just as into that stuff as we were into alternative rock, and we loved them
with a lot more resistance from some people who just didn't get it.
But and that was the great thing about Illinois State, was that there was a significant urban community, despite it being Central Illinois, and it was great. And we really nice mood lighting, by the way. Well done.
I'm disappearing into the background, and the one comment my parents actually shared with me after they watched the other 50 shows I've done with John is that they couldn't see me that well, and I'm like, trust me, you don't want me to have a bright light on at age.
Shut up.
29 and a half.
Exactly. Frankie say relax. I would have worn that shirt.
Yeah, Frankie say relax.
Nicely done.
Who remembers the flip side to Relax? That was their tribute to an older Liverpudlian band.
Not Two Tribes.
No.
It was an old '60s song.
Yeah, it was an old '60s song. It wasn't.
Well done. Yes, Glenn, you are correct.
Wait, what was that?
Ferry Cross the Mersey by Gary and the Pacemakers.
I think they put it. Wasn't it on the debut album too? It was like that, and Born to Run was on the debut album.
Oh, I didn't remember that. That's cool.
One of my most favorite cover songs. In fact, I'm not a huge Springsteen fan, so I know you're going to hurl flaming swords at me. Well,
do you remember what I said earlier?
But I will tell you that my two favorite covers are Born to Run by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and John knows from last week, he found out this little truth about me. My other favorite cover in all the land is David Bowie's cover, It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City, which is a Bruce Springsteen song.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Just thought it was worth putting it out there.
No, I'm with you. That's cool.
Brother Mike is going to quit the book.
No.
Sorry.
It's too late, right?
Oh, it is too late. He's drawn in a little bit too much, I think.
The contract was in blood.
We mentioned Sanford, and I'm sorry I don't have the graphics up. I keep pulling them out for other shows and stuff. But you've got some other all-star comic artists that are doing stuff. So we mentioned Philip, and we mentioned Sanford.
Yes, we have of course the great Mike Allred, who Heather wrote a beautiful piece about what happened the day and the night of the Challenger disaster. And it's probably the most somber piece, but it's the most necessary piece, in my opinion, as the editor of the book. It's phenomenal. And she writes about how that evening when she had her, I think it was a 10 to 2 shift or possibly an overnight, She played Starman, and I couldn't think there wasn't anyone in comics or on Earth who I thought could read Heather's prose and draw an appropriate piece for that.
And it's sort of really beautiful, you know. Heather, I yield to no one in my admiration for her and her smarts and her talent and her love and knowledge of music. But a lot of DJs would have played Space Oddity.
That's what I was expecting to hear. Yeah,
and she went deeper, and that's I think
Mm-hmm.
very indicative of her character.
That's cool.
And her understanding of how to capture something that's not how everybody else would do it. It's really beautiful.
You know, it didn't make it to American TV. But I don't know if any public television stations picked it up. But you know, there was first the series Life on Mars that was amazing on British TV.
Amazing.
And it focused on 1973, and then they had a subsequent sequel series, Ashes to Ashes, and it was all music from 1981, and that's what I loved about both shows was the wall to wall, and that's what I love about British television. They can do it easier than American television, and just wall to wall hits from 81 in the Ashes to Ashes, which is great.
If you guys haven't seen it, anyone listening, or Barbara and Glenn, you must see these two shows. I've seen them a few times, and Philip Glenister plays sort of like the abrasive cop in the first series, Life on Mars.
Both actually, both series.
In both series, his name is Gene, but they call him the Gene Genie, and he is so. I have fallen in love with him many times.
So funny.
Philip should be afraid. Because he's another 6 foot something British guy, and he doesn't critique my art direction. So, Philip, if you're listening, if I ever leave you, you might want to call Philip Glenister's wife, because that's where I might be.
He's great on the show, and it's so it's like
John Sim is great too.
Oh, John Sim, yeah, who's the star of Life on Mars, absolutely. And the first show is very much a parody of this great show called The Sweeney that's either on Acorn or BritBox, and you can see old episodes.
Also amazing, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's amazing stuff. So yeah, and I really loved Ashes to Ashes, the sequel show.
Brilliant. Yep. And
so
that was
I even bought
Keeley Hawes, who is since that
love
time
Keeley Hawes.
Really been become a real superstar talent.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, did you see It's a Sin? She was just in that, but she was also in The Bodyguard, I believe.
Yes, she's the politician in The Bodyguard, but she's in The Bank Job. She's Jason Statham's wife in The Bank Job. But I love MI5 as it's called here in the States, but it's Spooks, of course, in England, and the Secret Agent show. And then also she's on a show that's running all over public television called The Durrells in Corfu, and it's about a 1930s British family that relocates to Greece. And being Greek, I've told my family about it. They love it. And
cool.
And it's fish out of water, very funny stuff. But she's great. No, I love Keeley Hawes. She's incredible.
I have to jump in because I wanted to make a point of announcing a really special contributor, an artist who I think everybody in comics knows and loves because she's just the best. She was my first friend in comics, Jill Thompson. She's illustrated The Sandman for years and years.
Wow.
And she is the superstar. I mean, Eisner winner of Best Painter in Comics, I think 15 years, like something crazy like that.
She's got like a wall of Eisners, yeah.
So talented. And she is full stop one of my favorite people in the whole world. She's like the sister. She's like my second sister. I do have a sister who's nothing like me. Jill is the sister who is much more like me. So cool. She is illustrating a piece in the book. First of all, she backed the book, which I was like, she backed the book for like, great. She put in like $100 some. I'm like, what? She's awesome. Also going to be doing a piece in the book. So she's another great artist who's come on board. God, there's so many. We have Kitty Curran, who is a terrific artist I just met from working on Insider Art. She's a British artist who actually now married an American and lives in Chicago. So I love when
God.
She happens to be illustrating Jeff Emerson's story. I'm going to mention this briefly because he may or may not have been one of those people who used to call me on the listener line in the middle of the night. And in my story, Joe Strummer tells me not to play his song. So we'll let you guys. But Jeff Emerson was invited because he was a communications major, but he didn't have the luxury and the honor of being a DJ. He was a news guy. He was a news reader. So again, to get the point of view of one other side of the equation, he actually was Brother Mike's newsreader, I think for a year. And he tells a great story about what happened when he showed up late to a shift. He dropped his air check tape outside in the snow. He gets yelled at by the news director, who was a wonderful friend to all of us, Carrie Lazar, who we dedicate this book to. Carrie and a few other of our friends from college who passed away, sadly. But Jeff shows up late to do the news, only to find that no one is allowed in the DJ booth because Brother Mike is on air and his girlfriend dumped him, and he's playing Absolute Beginners over and over again.
Oh my God.
And he wasn't fired. But if I did that, I would have been fired. So that tells you everything you need to know about me, about Brother Mike, and Jeff Emerson. And I will say no more.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. A couple of observations mentioning Jill Thompson. As Stephen points out, Alex Ross used her likeness for the character Dula Dent, Kingdom Come. Absolutely. And then also he says, whenever I look at the cover to Starman, Star's My Destination trade cover, I hear Ziggy Starman's song, Ziggy's Starman playing in my head. Yes, that's a comic. Star's My Destination, yes. And Henry pays me a nice compliment. Thank you, Henry. He likes my show.
Henry's a cat?
Apparently.
That's why
Really well with cats.
Some cats.
So here's an interesting thing. Between Glenn's household and my household, there are 7 cats.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
And I'm allergic.
Yeah.
I am too, to certain cats.
I'm allergic to everything. And my claim to fame in college was that for about maybe 3/4 of my time at Ithaca College, I was covered in eczema from my chin to my toes. Oh. And I'll be sharing those stories in something I call the Turtleneck Diaries at a later date. So I will come back on your show and talk about the Turtleneck Diaries. But
of course you will.
We passed around a 20 questions document. And I have to give props to one of our roommates, Michelle, who was also a DJ at the station. And I asked everybody to just put in like 8 words or less, like when you see someone's name, lightning round, what's the first thing you think of? And she said, for me, she said, small and itchy. And I was like, back at Michelle. It was a pleasure sharing a studio partner with you for a whole year in college. But thank you very much for reminding me about my years as the eczema princess.
So funny.
That's amazing.
Yes,
yeah, really. What do you say?
I'm still allergic to everything. It's why I have an eye infection. We do not have pets because everyone in our house is allergic to every type of dander, fur, you name it. Goldfish food. If I would feed a goldfish, I would break out on my fingers.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Maybe I should have had these gloves.
Yeah, really. I'm sorry, buddy.
Anyway.
Jesus. That's terrible.
But
there's nothing else to say about that.
Really. We all feel bad about you and everything. That's really sad.
I'm just looking for pity because I lost the competition. I'm just looking for people to pity me. I played.
Yeah, man, Barbra, well done. Grant, as I called her, our returning champion. So there you go.
The once and forever.
She's the brainiac, and I've got the mood lighting. People would come to our apartment because she was the brains, and I controlled the mood lighting and had the record collection. How about that? Is that fair?
Barbara? Yeah, totally nice. Fair.
Very nice. I was trying to think of other movies that were so tied to 80s music, and I remember Mike's Murder was a cool black and white indie movie.
Joe Jackson, yeah.
The soundtrack of that.
Repo Man, I think, is
Repo Man,
one of the best.
Smithereens.
Best soundtracks.
Smithereens was one of my favorite movies. That sort of defined me. I wanted to move. I remember seeing that movie on Night Flight and just wanting to move to New York and be New Wave. And I wanted white hair so badly. And every time I tried to triple process it with Manic Panic, it would break. And I had to turn 50 years old to finally get the color of my dreams. So, you know what they say about getting older, don't fear it. Look what happens. Sometimes it's for the best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm cool with my age. It's fine. I don't care.
What's the alternative?
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. So why make yourself sad? No, just to, and especially like 50 was weird. I won't deny that. Like turning 50 was like, I don't know. And then you wake up the next day and it's like you're still you. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, all right. So there you go.
50 was fine. 51 was like, 52 was like, oh, fuck.
Says the woman who ran
Yeah.
up the marathon. Glenn says the woman who
Half.
ran. Come on.
I ran a half marathons the year I turned 50, and I have not. That's gone
Impressive.
downhill.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Kill yourself.
You know,
Come on. Well, guys, honestly, we've done a good rant here, but let's wrap up because we want people to go and get the book.
yes, they only have like about less
Day
than
and change?
48 hours, right?
Less than how many hours?
Well, the campaign officially ends at 6 a.m. on the 24th.
Okay.
And that's LA time. So basically, if I were you people and you're listening and you really want a piece of this incredible history that was college radio, I would say go to Kickstarter right now because we are really only funding for the next 24 hours. There's a link if you go to kickstarter.com/projects/SX bond/heavy-rotation. You can join our coterie of amazing DJ writers, all-star artists, and also John, who will have his comic book debut. Is this a comic book debut for you, John, as a writer?
I have to say no because Kyle Higgins had me write an essay in his book with Rod Rice called Cowl.
Nice.
So I have, and Brian Bendis actually had his artists draw me in several issues of Ultimate Spider-Man. I was Peter Parker's principal.
I have got to see that. The next time I'm on your show for the Turtleneck Diaries, will you please bring up that graphic?
Oh God, I'll text you in the meantime. Absolutely. And
Brian Bendis is so cool, and I love the fact that he's a fan of so many different types of comics. They were 48. And
Steven's my new best friend.
Steven, everybody thinks that
Tony and I
Barbra.
might have to go out there sometime.
Thank you.
There you go. So yeah, and if you I'm glad Shell gave the full URL. But if you Google Kickstarter and Heavy Rotation or Kickstarter and Shelley Bond, you will see Heavy Rotation. That's the title. And I'm sorry, I thought here it is. I did put in a graphic. There we go.
Nice. With the cover illustration by the infamous Philip Bond.
Pretty cool. Absolutely. So yeah, check it out. And I'm telling you, if you go to the page, you're going to be very satisfied with the preview art. And I know everyone's got really cool stories. And obviously, if you hung with this conversation, then you're into this kind of story. And I'm sure many of you might have also had college radio experiences. And as we said on the previous show, that was the attempt to sound cool. But unfortunately, much like saying, I used to sell Victrolas in the 20s, doesn't really have the cachet that it, I don't know if you know this, but I was the program director of my 80s college radio station. And I watched them leave.
Put your glasses down when you say that.
Well, I got to read the comments. That's why I was, this is for driving. So sometimes glasses, sometimes not. So there you go.
Listen, thank you again, John. You are.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys.
College radio and the musical knowledge you have is boundless. And I knew you and Glenn were going to bond over things like Marillion and other stuff like sports that I said I should have done a drinking game for Barbara and I that anytime a sports team came up,
it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. But no, nice meeting you, Glenn. Absolutely. Barbara, great to see you again.
Great seeing you. Thank you.
And Shell, well done as always. And happy to promote the efforts of the off-register publishing arm. You know that.
And let me just say thank you to everyone that's contributed so far, all the DJs, from the past, and a lot of the other people that we brought in, from artists like Anna Pachalski, who is amazing, and she did Barbara's piece, the game theory piece. When I sent it to
beautiful,
Barbara, I
beautiful,
honestly thought she fainted. I thought I could hear Barbara fainting across the country.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's the me I've always wanted to be.
Yep. And thank you to everyone contributing. Thank you to the backers who supported us so far. We are so close to hitting 15K. Once we hit 15K, we are going to get these really cool, like field note size 3.5 by 5.5 notebooks with such cool illustrations by like a top designer in comics. So help us to get over that hump of 15K. I think we need like maybe $1,400. So we've got backer levels from $1 all the way up through to $200, where you can get yourself drawn in the comic as a crazy 80s college student, which is really a lot of fun. And I might even have Glenn drawn into that scene, and he could be wearing his Marillion shirt.
Nice.
Which I'm sure he would want to be sporting in a comic book based.
Represent.
Was Kaylee their biggest hit, Marillion?
Here, certainly.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, it was their only hit here, and that was sort of a minor hit. Although every girl who's somewhere around the age of 30, I want to say 33 to 36, is probably named after that song if she's named Kaylee.
That's hilarious. You're probably right. That's funny. My college girlfriend that taught deaf children, her sister's name was Aubrey from Bread. Aubrey was her name, and I was like, oh, what a song! What a beautiful song.
Very cool.
Anyway.
Well, thank you again, John. And thank you to all the viewers. We've had such a blast. If my dad is out there, thank you, Dad, again for the great education. And it was fun spending your money. And everybody, Heavy Rotation, still funding on Kickstarter. Join us. We're having an absolute blast. And
absolutely, yes, indeed. No, thank you, everybody, and yes, check out Heavy Rotation at Kickstarter and support this great compendium by these very fun people. Good conversation, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Take care. We're gonna have a big week this week on Word Balloon Live. I hope you'll join us. Stay safe. Stay happy.